So welcome to episode 35 of the Family Basis Pod. My name's Jake. And he's Dallas.
He's Dallas. I am, of course, Ben. Jake, this is the Frank Thomas episode. The Anthony Thomas episode.
Yeah.
Everybody named Thomas in Chicago episode 35.
And our last host is on his first episode.
I'm Dave. David, let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready.
Coming live
so,
from the Misty.
Yeah. And Dave is the White Sox fan. So we're gonna have to talk about the White Sox at some point. So both teams suck right now, so we'll get there. Last week as we recorded and released the episode, that same day as our last episode, the Hall of Fame announcer Ben Scully died. The Hall of Fame announcer for the Dodgers, at one time the Brooklyn Dodgers. He died last Wednesday. And I want to ask you guys this one question. What's a call or a moment from his career that sticks out to you that maybe people should go back and visit? Ben, what do you think? What's a call or a moment?
I would say the Kirk Gibson home run in, what was it, Game 7 of the World Series against the A's? Or Game 1. Game 1, yeah. But Kirk Gibson was all fucked up. He had the broken legs. His legs were all jacked up. He could barely walk. And then he goes deep off Eckersley. And it's obviously an iconic play in baseball history. But then you have Vin Scully, who is obviously a Dodgers announcer at that point in time. Because he is also the voice of baseball. He's getting the call of the game. Calls it. And it's a really good moment. It's really cool. I mean, but you could go back, like you said. I mean, he was calling games in the 1950s, so you could go back literally before we were a twinkle in our dad's eyes to even, find a game. But
David Dell says, any other memory or call stick out to you?
Not the biggest, broadcasting persona fan, but I would say, what would stand out to me probably would be something like him calling like a Koufax no-hitter or something like that would be probably pretty up there. I mean, Koufax is probably one of my favorite players for those that don't know. So that would definitely be one of them.
Dallas, got some?
Probably how could you pick one?
How could you pick just one?
So true. True.
I mean,
all of them have a little bit of gold. So if I had to recommend, just watch every single game that he's ever announced. Really,
that's the way to do it.
Dive in.
That's smart.
That's it.
Since I've moved out to the LA area, the Vin Scully is talked about. They said it wasn't a man, it wasn't a broadcaster that was calling games for baseball. As one person said, it was like hearing the voice of God, which I would disagree with, but I think it's something. It tells you how revered he is in LA, but also in this country that we even know who he is. He's been around. He called games for 67 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised Ben didn't go with a Jackie Robinson call out or something.
I would have, sure, but Red Barber was the announcer for when Jackie first started. I mean, Vin Scully started 3 years, I think, after Robinson. Yeah. I just looked this up. I don't want to act like I know this shit off the top of my head, but I looked this up when I looked up Vin Scully's passing the other last week. Yeah, like Red Barber was obviously like he got hired on. Vin got hired on as like the color guy, essentially the Steve Stone to Hawk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Learned from Red Barber, who's obviously one of the most famous radio guys of all time. And then when Red Barber retired or left, Vin Scully took over and then just stayed. But anyways, yeah, that just sounded pretentious. I don't know. That's not what I meant to do. I'm just
Well, Ben, something else you brought to our memories was that Sunday was the 15th anniversary of Barry Bonds breaking the home run record. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, we don't talk about it at all. Like it's not a remembered day in baseball history. Like you can ask people the day that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. That's an important day. You can ask people, what day did Lou Gehrig deliver his iconic speech, and that was obviously happened to be on a holiday, but right around the same time. And it's just one of those things that nobody really gives a shit about. And I think
That
I wonder if it's because people don't like Barry Bonds as a whole, like if they just
True.
think he's an asshole, or if it's just because the record's tainted, or in their eyes it's tainted because it's it's steroid shit, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's one of the most important baseball milestone statistics, things in the history of a sport that's going on 200 years, and nobody talks about it. Nobody cares about it. It's not an important day. It's not revered like other sports signifying like signal moment days. I guess I don't know.
Dave, why is that?
And I think, like I've been touched on, I think people generally, probably as a whole, dislike Barry Bonds as a person, and I think that people are still stuck on the steroid stigma when everyone in the '90s and that time point was doing steroids. Like it's funny Ben mentioned because, like you said, um, no one talks about like that day being the record when he broke it and whatnot. People still talk. You'll still see like clips of them talking about the '90s when like McGuire was beating out Sosa for the home run race in like '98 and all that shit. But
Right.
you don't hear much about Bonds, ultimately breaking the all-time record and stuff. And I think that has a lot to do with people generally as a whole dislike Barry Bonds.
So let me ask you a quick follow up, real quick, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it because I'm thinking back to like when that in '98 when McGuire and Sosa were doing the home run race.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it being must see TV. Like
100%.
I have a vivid, like burned into my brain memory that the three of us, Dan included, were in the street playing on Spruce when we were living across the street from each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
and your mom coming out of my
You're right.
house screaming at us because McGuire was coming up to bat, and then we got to go and watch him hit the home run live
Yeah.
as it happened. Like
So
that was insane to me. That was a thing. Like I don't know if it's because we got a little bit older and we got more jaded, and then by time Bonds was like doing this and setting the record,
Well,
steroids was such an ugly thing that he became so shrouded in like as like the poster boy for the whole thing, which I think is such an unfair
yeah.
thing that
Yeah.
got put on him.
I do think while it was going on and live in the moment, it was still must see TV. Everyone, games that weren't any. I think like any sports, like on Sports Center stuff, they would always cut the when Bonds said that type of stuff. I just think as after the fact, it's not revered or kept in the same light. Like people, like I said, generally just don't give a shit about it now. It seems like, and I think that has a lot in part to do with you know people disliking Barry Bonds and the whole steroid stigma and all everything everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I gotta think that it's not even that it to me it's not even that he's disliked, which he is. It's just that he's so synonymous with steroids. I think that's just what it is, and that's kind of where it's going to be.
I mean, do you remember how unfair it was when people were literally throwing needles onto the
That's
field
like
in
so
front of
crazy.
him? Like that's crazy to think
I
about.
actually read it. I read an article. I read an article. Or I was watching some other documentary or something about it. They were talking like he basically someone had interviewed or talked to him, and like he was basically pissed that he was still doing it all natural and still getting outshined by McGuire and Sosa, and those
Yeah,
guys
it was in the baseball documentary by Ken Burns.
were
Yeah,
clearly on juice, and like no one gave a shit. So he said, "Well, fuck it. I'm gonna go out and get mine, and I'll get juice to the moon, and I'm gonna
got
come out
paid too.
and clobber 70 home, 70 plus home runs a season." I just saw something the other day, and it was showing like the breakdown, like prior to him going to the Giants and like getting on steroids. He was like a 3-time MVP, like 7-time Gold Glover, like heck, he was a for sure Hall of Famer prior to even going to San Francisco.
Yeah, first ballot. I mean, we talked about it multiple times. He, on our old show, he was insane, dude. MVPs, Gold Gloves, redefining what 40-40 meant. Like the first guy to ever do 40-40. Yeah. Just literal insanity. Like as crazy hype as we must be or we are about like Nico had an RBI single, Cubs up 4-1. As excited as we are about like Shohei and Trout, and as amazing and like enraptured we are, imagine all of them kind of mashed together in one dude in fucking Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The armpit. Oh, don't even get me started. I'm coming for you, Milwaukee. I'm coming for you later, you bitch. But he did all of that in Pittsburgh and then hit the free agent market and was like, you're going to pay me everything that I'm worth because I am the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
Giants paid him, and the rest was fucking history. He never played for another team after that. But and he should have, dude. Look at his last numbers that he played. There's not a single reason why an American League team couldn't have picked him up and let him DH more. He got blackballed out of baseball at the end of his career. I believe that. Because his numbers are too good to not have on a major league team at that point.
I agree. I feel like we've lasted way longer on Barry Bonds than I think I anticipated. So, you guys mind if we actually talk a little bit more?
We can do whatever you want. I'm just saying. Fired up about Barry Bonds, I guess.
I mean, we agree. Simply put, this usually is when we talk about the Cubs, but at the very end, I already had planned talking about the White Sox, so we will come to them. So, Dave, fire away. Whatever opinion you have.
They're playing like shit right now. I think it starts at the top. Tony La Russa, Sleepy Tony is falling
asleep by the first pitch.
And I was listening to I don't know if you guys know who Jason Goff is. I love him. I listened to his podcast. I was listening to his podcast at the gym earlier, and he brought up how I guess Stoney went onto the score and was trying to make excuses for why it was the production team for them. It was their fault that they captured that shot of Tony La Russa falling asleep, and they shouldn't have done it. They should have known better. And even Goff bullshit was like, those guys are doing their job. I mean, I get Stoney's got to carry water for the team and the network and all that bullshit, but it's just been a disaster. I don't know.
Dude, this year's been such a disappointment.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's more not a disaster. It's been more of a disappointment. Giolito looks like garbage. I mean, outside of Cease, who was an all-star snub. I mean, and it says something when the second best pitcher on the team is Johnny Cueto, and he was a fucking midseason pickup from
anybody could have had him.
Some dumpster somewhere, whatever. He's pitching better than. Granted, Lynn had an injury, and Koufax. I mean, I don't know what his deal is. So it's
what's this guy's deal?
Yeah, it's not trending in the right direction. Anderson has fallen off the planet. He was, won a batting title. He was doing pretty good in the season, batting upper 300s. And I heard a stat, he was in his last 44 plate appearances that he's got 5 extra base hits, 4 doubles, and 1 home run. I mean,
has something happened in his personal life that would have maybe led to some sort of dysfunction on the field in some capacity? I wonder. I don't know.
That could be, right. And then I guess it was making on Twitter that he wasn't flying. Supposedly he didn't fly home with the White Sox when he was serving that suspension. Was flying commercial or something. That could also be cool. Whatever.
He was in the back row next to the fucking stewardess from the Peanuts. I don't think he was flying commercial, Dave. I think he was flying pretty all right.
Dave, the one positive is Dylan Cease, and that's something that you pointed out. Did you guys see he set a new MLB record? Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, it was the 13. He said 13 starts without giving up less than 1 run or something like that. Or
Yeah, Dylan Cease has started 13 games in a row, allowing one earned run or less innings in every of those 13 starts. He's gone at least 6 innings.
Yeah, no, he's pitching out of his mind. And it's a shame that we're wasting that on the season when they'll be lucky to make the fucking playoffs. I think that's what's upsetting the most is he's having a record-setting season, and it's not going to matter for shit because we're going to lose out in the division to the Guardians or the Twins.
I mean, they're close enough where they could catch them.
Yeah, but they're losing games that they should be. I mean, they lost the Rangers. Like, the Rangers are terrible.
Hey, fuck you.
Those
are my guys.
The Rangers are ass. I mean, outside
I can
of
name you maybe 6 guys on the team.
Outside of
hey,
Steve,
you know
Simeon, you can't name and that's.
How about Dunning? Guy who broke his dick off in your butt. Former White Sox hand.
Yeah.
What? All right.
We can say he's Dane, and that's a bad name.
Dane Dunning, yeah. He was
Dane's a bad name.
Prospect. We gave
Dane
him
Cook?
the Lanson deal.
Dallas, what's your favorite Dane Cook joke? Or what is it? This?
I don't know.
Sufi.
Speaking of Dane Cook,
he's
on the hot seat for banging high schoolers.
Oh, shit.
How does that
kind of
not surprise?
Jake, hide your kids. You're in California now. Hide your kid.
So yeah, I've heard. Well, my wife is really intrigued by that, and
it's very odd.
Dude, isn't it crazy how he was so humongous as a comedian?
He was that guy, yeah.
He was huge. He was like the most frat star comedian of all frat star comedians ever.
He ended up. A lot of stuff happened that made him like fall quick. A lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, his brother stole money from him.
Yeah,
Dave Chappelle apparently bombed his comedy career, which is actually a funny story. Supposedly, the story goes that Dave Chappelle, in the height of the Chappelle Show, went to a comedy club, and they told Dave Chappelle, "This is Dane Cook's night. Like, we need you to do a tight 10 minutes." They told Dave Chappelle to go 10 minutes. So apparently he does 10 minutes, and then at the end of set, he says, "No, I usually don't do this, but after my set, I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna have some smokes. I'll take pictures, sign autographs." A bunch of guys come outside, and apparently everyone just left. So amongst comedians, Dane Cook's reputation just apparently took a huge hit. But now he's 50, and he's marrying a 23-year-old he's been dating for 5 years, supposedly. So it's...
Dude, I didn't realize... I mean, I guess... And this is not this show topic that we normally talk about. And you know what? So I'm not even going to get into it. Fuck it. Jake, let's just move on. All
right. So again, that's my Dylan Cease point. So Dave, you have one positive. All right.
We got all the Dane Cook. Dane Cook banging high schoolers.
That is maybe one more positive than the Cubs, which I think we should talk about real quick. One player that we have as a podcast really shit on for a long time, as kind of a roster space filler, has been Jason Hayward.
I was just talking a bit about that earlier.
As we record today on Monday, Jed Hoyer announced that as of the end of the season, they will be parting ways with Jason Hayward, who does have a year left on his contract, but he will be leaving the team after the year's over. Ben, Dallas, you guys are the other Cubs fans. What are your immediate reactions to Jason Hayward not being a Cub anymore?
So it's weird. We're running out of 2016 guys, right? But we're also going on 7 years since 2016. And that's kind of what happens is people move on, people leave.
Feels like yesterday.
Dave and I were, like Dave mentioned, discussing Jason Hayward a little bit earlier. I came to the conclusion that it was okay for the Cubs that we got a World Series out of it. You know, I feel like you get a 10-year window. And maybe if you're a Cubs fan, you get a 15-year window because it's been so fucking long. But you get a 10-year window of after the World Series of like, you can still live in this bubble for a little bit. We can always look back on 16 and be like, we had that. That was awesome. But now it's starting to get towards the end of that where it's like, okay, we need to start really focusing on building a new bubble and having a new thing. And Jason Hayward being on the team this year to kind of help mold the younger guys, I think, was their plan, right? Like a Grandpa Rossi-esque moment. The issue is that you're paying Jason Hayward like $23 million to fucking hit 200 and not really contribute much else.
It's hard.
I guess maybe, yeah, okay, but I want, maybe a little bit better than that if you're paying him $23 million. But again, I'm the person who's fully on board. Every contract should be worth $100 million. I don't care. Every player should get as much money as they want. So I can't fault Jason Hayward for getting paid that much. But it always those contracts always kind of look ugly at the end. Those you sign a guy. It's like the Pujols on the Angels. You're paying a dude, $30 million, and you shouldn't be paying him $30 million. But it's just the nature of the beast. We don't win a World Series without him. In 16, he played Gold Glove defense. He obviously, Dave was joking around about it, to me earlier, but like the pep talk at the rain delay, which kind of the Cubs all contributed to sparking the rally and extra innings and win the World Series. His contributions that year, the Cubs don't win a World Series without it, so I will take any and all bad contracts during this 10-year window as a okay, we did it. That's we kind of eat shit, and you do what you got to do in order to win that World Series. Like this is what the Padres fans are going to feel like in 6 years. Okay, if they win a World Series now, and then they have to start dumping all these pieces, and they have nothing left, and you're trotting out the Frank Schwindells of the world and the Nick Madrigals of the world, like it gets a little bare and it gets a little ugly, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I think the Cubs are just in that. And Jason Hayward is just a piece of that machine that's finally going to get replaced.
Dallas, are you happy he's not going to be a Cub anymore?
Elated, man. That's what he's done, but, bro, we're trying to get another one going.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that, is that it was... We shit on the Cubs front office and really David Ross for keeping him on the bench in the first place, taking up a roster spot. But as you said, Ben, he played a critical role that 1 year. But outside of that, it's been time.
Can I interject in here?
Incredible waste of money.
Yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. I like looking at the numbers and looking at the stats and everything, and like. I got Jason Hayward's stats up here from the Cubs and his tenure, and it's not good. I think he was one of those players that came in with all this potential, even with Atlanta, and it kind of never. I mean, at least from an offensive standpoint, it never came together. It's just, yeah. I mean. Even in that year in 16, he won the World Series. He batted .230. Like,
yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean,
but Gold Glove defense.
He's bad.
Gold Glove defense. I'm taking a Gold Glove defense for a guy who's in .230.
Yeah.
So he made one All-Star.
Yes, that's true.
All-Star appearance. Granted, those aren't the end-all be-all, but it's a good barometer of talent and whatnot, and compared to your peers in the league. Can you guys tell me what year he made the All-Star team?
If I had to guess,
I would say that year. No, I'm going to say 2016.
I would say 15 with the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, it would have been his only All-Star appearance was in 2010, his rookie season.
Sick.
Oh,
that's how you do it, dude. He just finessed how many teams into paying him $30 million? Fuck it,
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Finessing is a game, bruh.
I'm not mad at him. Get the bag. I'm just saying, yes, defense matters, but when you're batting, 230.
Gold Gloves.
Look at the year. Look at the year in St. Louis. Hold on. Look at the year in St. Louis, because you have his baseball reference up, right?
I do, yes.
All right. Look up his year in St. Louis, and then look at the year that he signed that deal with the Cubs, because I know his salaries are on there too.
Correct. So based off of, if I'm looking at his stats, that year is the outlier year. That is the freak occurrence. Like he batted.
You have to pay for him if you're getting it.
But he batted 293, and his second highest batting average, even sniffing that, was 271. So I mean, that 293 was his outlier.
How old was he that year?
He was 25.
Dude, imagine. Okay, you're a GM. A guy who's a Gold Glove All-Star, or a potential Gold Glove. He hadn't won it yet. He was a year away.
At that point, he'd already had 2 Gold Gloves.
Okay, so he had both of his Gold Gloves at that point, and an All-Star. 25 years old, batting, coming off of the best year of his career. Obviously, if you're the Cubs, you're paying him a ton of money. That's just what you do.
No, 100%.
You have to in order to get that player. And then if it gets you a World Series, fine. And then if it leaves you in this barren wasteland of talent and you're looking at the rotting carcass that is his contract, you gotta take it. You have to take it. If it gets you a World Series, you do whatever you gotta do.
I'm not saying you don't take it, but I'm saying to Jake's point, you're taking up a roster space. You should he's been done for the last fucking 3 years. You should
apparently, according to you, he's been done since 2015.
Baseball's
just hung it up.
So you're paying him anyway, so you might as well dump him and free up a roster space. I mean, not trying to pile on Jason Hayward. I mean, he's very good defensively, but
and to my point earlier on a different podcast, I was saying that I thought the Cubs should dump. When I was, I think, advocating for them trading Contreras and Happ, it was along the premise of letting younger guys get playing time. So getting rid of Hayward fits into that perfectly.
Yeah, I mean
so I don't disagree with the idea, but
he's not playing
at this point.
So
yeah,
whatever. I mean, it's fine. I mean, whatever. It's more so just taking the roster. I mean, granted, if you don't have young talent that he's taking the spot from anyway, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But it would suck to see someone in the minor leagues not be given a shot because you're committed to keeping Jason Hayward around
or Jake Taylor.
Who hasn't been viable in
downtown Anderson
3 seasons.
Well,
3 seasons.
Well, I will say this is that I do like the fact that Jed Hoyer announced this before, the last, he's given Jason Hayward really kind of a send off.
No,
for sure. 2-month goodbye.
Yeah. I do like that. That's one aspect of it I do like, and the Cubs with a minor leaguer this year, they wouldn't. I mean, they would not be competing.
Well, okay.
So in some way, doing it next year is really we're not going to win this year. We're not going to win that much next year. Just let Hayward have the rest of this year. So I guess in some ways, that's the part I do like. And again, I do have to make this mention because if my wife does listen to this, which she rarely does, but if she does, for some reason, Jason Hayward has always been one of her favorite players because he is a good guy.
He's a human being. I follow on Instagram, and I think he's a good dude. I was saying, just purely from a baseball perspective, it's not. I mean. I'm looking at his salary, and the Cubs, man, I didn't realize how much they were paying him.
Isn't it 25 million, 27 million?
That contract was nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts. But to Ben's point,
crazy.
he was 25, and he was 25 coming off his best year. But now looking at it, it's a horrible contract, but. We'll be done.
I mean, you could have said the same thing about the Soriano deal, right? Coming off of a 50-50 year or whatever the fuck it was nuts that year with the Nationals, where he just comes out and he's just crushing. He's the MVP. The Cubs are like, give us all of that, please, and he's like, I'll give you maybe some of it, whatever I've got left, which isn't a whole lot. And then his contract looked like an albatross at the end of that year too. You couldn't get rid of it. It was ugly, but.
I mean, that's kind of what the Cubs do. So, but you know what? I do want to talk about or mention one thing the Cubs are doing this week that I think is pretty exciting, even if they're bad. Is that Thursday? Last year, the White Sox had this game, the Field of Dreams game. This year, the Cubs are playing the Reds on Thursday in Iowa for the Field of Dreams game. The surprising thing is, the Reds are higher in the standings than the Cubs.
Despite going 4-23 to start the season, mind you.
Exactly.
4-20 to start the year, and they are better now than the Cubs.
And they gave away one, so
since you guys are the resident Cub fans, would you guys, knowing everything that you know now about the season, and someone said, "Hey, you want to go to the game? Would you Would you buy tickets, drive to the game, buy beer, food, or whatever, a T-shirt or whatever, and would you take part of that? Do you think them being as shitty as they are would deter the experience of going for the Field of Dreams and like all that type of stuff?
No.
Nope.
No, absolutely not. I would go watch fucking Little League kids play wiffle ball at the Field of Dreams. I think it's more of the experience of being there than who's playing. It's like going to the Super Bowl. If your team's not physically there and invested, I would still go to the Super Bowl just to say I went to the fucking Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying the Field of Dream Games is Super Bowl, but it's the same kind of unique one-off experience that would be fun to partake in.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say that. All right, you know what? Let's actually leave the two bad teams in Chicago, and I want to quickly talk about this because last episode we talked about all the trades and we talked about what potential impact there will be. It's been 1 week since the trade deadline, and some of those players have had some real impacts. Like Luis Castillo has had impact. Trey Mancini in his two first games with the Astros had 3 home runs, including a grand slam.
Dude's on fire.
Surprisingly, I think we all were obviously very high on the Padres with Hader, Soto, Drury, and Bell. Who do you guys think is going to, of Luis Castillo, Trey Mancini, and the Padres foursome, who do you think is going to have a good second half?
That's tough. I feel like the Padres just got that much better. I mean, the Padres aren't catching the Dodgers, so I mean, I guess it's more so
secure that number one wild
playoffs.
Yeah, they're trying to. I mean, they're basically playing for the wild card at this point, and I think that's a huge get. I mean, Soto is obviously a generational player. I mean, I'm not a big Hader fan, so fuck him. But Josh Bell's good.
Hader doesn't like Josh Bell, though, probably.
Probably not.
No real reason why, just a hunch.
The Mancini thing, I guess, I think he'll be a good fit. But the Astros were already so good to begin with. I mean, I don't know.
Isn't it crazy that they're so good? I expected such a drop off from them. I remember talking about it while we were doing our West preview, and obviously
they reloaded. Why? They got Jordan.
They lost Correa. Bregman sucks this year.
They got Tucker.
Bregman sucks this year. I also didn't expect Verlander to be the fucking number. He's either number 1 or number 2 in Cy Young. He's 40 years old.
That's crazy. Like
dude, it's got to be Kate Upton. It's got to be Kate Upton. She's giving him superpowers or something.
Yeah, or
vitality.
Yeah, that's crazy. The type
Dude, good for him. That's all I'm saying. Good for him. Good for him looking like that, bagging that. Good for him. No, dude, it's, Jake, when we talked about our trade deadline last week, I said the most important and impactful trades were the other guys that the Padres got. So the Josh Hader and the Brandon Drurys. And I think they're going to go as far as the rest of the team goes. because you know what you're gonna get out of Soto. He's immediately contributing, walking a million times already over the weekend and doing what he does best, getting on base. And Tatis hasn't even played yet. He's coming back, or he hasn't played in a while. He's coming back soon.
Yeah.
And then it's going to take a little bit of time to get them all back and playing together and seeing how that works. But I just think that they're too talented to not easily clinch that playoff spot, that wild card. I think it would be fun if Mancini's able to keep up and continue being a contributing factor on that Astros team, like Dave said, that has so much talent. But I'm just so down on the Mariners. I don't really care about the Mariners. I didn't care about the Mariners when we talked about the West before.
Dallas.
Dow can lick my butt cheeks. So I think the most important thing is the other guys on the Padres still. That's my piece.
All right.
God bless.
Quick insert. What are Machado's numbers looking like? What kind of season is he having? Is he playing a role in anything they're doing or no?
You have baseball reference 6 inches from your face, don't you?
He started off the year very hot, and then he's cooled off, but he's still a top 5 MVP. For the most part, from what I've seen, is that he's still putting up numbers. He's still leading the team. I don't know his exact average or on base or anything.
289. I mean, 19 home runs, 60 RBIs. He's he was an all-star.
Yeah.
Well, those guys are always going to get voted in. Jake, what stadium are you closest to now?
I'm closest to Dodger Stadium.
Oh, sick. You going in a game?
No.
Cool.
I will mention that later, but no. Dodger Stadium is close, and then it's Angel Stadium, and then Petco is it's not that far. It's like 2 hours, so it's not far. Yeah, but no. So I would be the most interested in the Padres, but we'll see. It's going to be good baseball. For sure.
Speaking of trades, are you guys, as Cubs fans, are you guys shocked that Happ and Contreras didn't get moved when it seems like those guys are not part of the Cubs' future going forward?
Dave, I just want to start off. I want to start off by saying thanks for listening and watching.
Thanks for tuning in
weekly, when we discussed this last week. I think we were all kind of surprised by it, right? I think that was kind of the overall consensus because it was the day of that we recorded was the day that the trade deadline happened. So it was all kind of a bit surprising. You were kind of wild, waiting for the dust to settle and figure out what was going on. But I think disappointed in some of us, but maybe happiness in the other that we got to keep him around. I don't know. It was kind of a mixed bag, mixed feeling. I think all around.
I think it either shows that the front office is totally incompetent, which they could be very easily, or that the Cubs genuinely they put a high value on those players and they did not get the return they wanted, which makes it seem like they value those guys more. Even though Jed Hoyer has said that's the case, I'm pretty sure the Cubs wanted 2 or 3, top 20 prospects or something, and they couldn't get it. They just weren't as fast making the move. I think it's just so I'm happy because those are the Cubs' 2 best players, and now it would make sense that to keep them and try to sign them to something. But I'm not surprised that the front office didn't make a move because as of right now the Cubs front office doesn't want to make moves. So I'm happy, but I'm not surprised they're bad at their jobs.
That checks out. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's actually something else I wanted to touch on either later in the episode or just next time. Was that Jetor has said that he wants to, the two top priorities for the Cubs in the offseason is to have new contracts. It's, whether it's a qualifying offer for Contreras or possibly extend Hap. Um, I don't know how I feel about it, but either way, again, I'm just not. I wouldn't be surprised if they let both those guys go or trade them or whatever. I don't think
Do we still
they're.
have? I know Contreras is up for free agency, but is Hap under contract for another year?
One more
Yeah.
year.
Because so we could still trade Hap and then probably lose Contreras, but hopefully get a compensatory pick.
Yeah, I don't think. I think the Cubs will offer a qualifying offer. I don't think if they wanted to receive one draft pick for Contreras, I think they would have traded him for like a prospect.
Yeah,
But
that
but
would be a big disappointment if they let that
but
happen. You're right.
but they didn't. So I think they will. I think the Cubs will offer Contreras a qualifying offer. They'll keep him for the year, and I mean, I think I think it'll be the same thing next trade deadline. That's really what I think.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, either way. But another player who was not moved at this trade deadline, not surprisingly, but I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about the reasoning why, is that one player who is rumored to be on the trade block was Shohei Ohtani. He was rumored 12, apparently, according to sources, 12 teams called about possibly trading for him. But one baseball executive is quoted as saying that Art Marino, the owner of the Angels, is, quote, afraid of trading Shohei Ohtani. And the reasoning is that the fan base kind of revolting as as little of a fan base as they have, or just being known as like the GM who sold Babe Ruth.
That's essentially what. That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's essentially what it is.
But with that, knowing how bad the Angels are, do you think Shohei Ohtani will be an Angel in 14 months, which is when his contract, well, when he's able to be a free agent? Do you think he will be going back to the Angels at some level, or do you think he's gone?
No, I think he's gone. Absolutely, he's gone. Whether they decide to trade him or wait him out for the 18 months, let him hit free agency, he's gonna make $1 billion fucking dollars. He's gonna make whatever Soto makes on his next contract, right? Which is gonna be a ton. Ohtani's gonna make more. You have to pay Ohtani more. You know what I mean? You just have to. He's a better player. He's the best player in baseball. I think it makes sense why you'd be afraid to trade Shohei Ohtani, because you don't want a repeat of Babe Ruth. You don't want that like stigma around your franchise of like, oh, these are the dickheads who traded Shohei. But at the same time, business sense, it makes a lot of sense to trade Shohei. If you're not going to win, which you've shown zero,
they would get so many draft picks and
dude, they would just dump their entire minor league and just hand it over. Like, you want all three teams? We'll just give you our AAA, AA, and single A team. Just take them, do whatever you want with them. No, he would demand so much that, from a business sense, it would make a ton of sense for the Angels to do it. But I get the apprehension as to why you wouldn't. If I was in the Angels' position, I would trade him probably in the offseason, or when I feel like the market is at its best that I could get the most. Because you're going to get a ton anyways, but wait until the team's really desperate, and then maybe you can get even more. Does that make sense?
I mean, every team is desperate for a Shohei.
Sure. Like, when you said that 12 teams called, it should have been 30 teams calling. Or every team but the Angels calling.
The White Sox called. We're going to offer a couple dozen baseballs.
Well,
yeah, and some of those guys who play the drums under the viaduct over by the cell.
Well, apparently the Cubs also called. So I mean,
oh shit, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it's not happening. But
no, of course
I'm
not.
just saying that the offers, the calls are not really gonna do much. But Ben and Dave, will he be an Angel long term? Yes or no?
No, I think they're a loser franchise. I don't think so. I think Ben brought up the point we were talking earlier about it. He seemed like he wants to win, and the Angels looks like for the foreseeable future aren't going to win anything. And so I think he's going to be the opposite of Trout in the sense that he just doesn't want a major contract just to be on a shitty team. Like Trout seems to be content being one of the best players in baseball, past and present, future, and his team just sucking ass. Or, I don't know if I'd necessarily get that vibe from Ohtani. I think Ohtani's going to want to go to a contender and try to, prove something and, want to win something. But,
So Ben, what do you think? Yes or no?
No, I'd say no. I think he's absolutely going to get traded at some point. It would make too much sense not to. Or no. What am I trying to say? It would be stupid not to. Especially with the amount that you could get for him. And like you said, in 18 months. I mean, the Angels are one of the teams that could probably afford to pay a max contract. Or, we'll use the term a max contract, but a Ohtani level contract because they are in Los Angeles. Art Moreno's a very rich man. There's a lot of things that go into it. It could absolutely happen. But I just don't see it. I think, to Dave's point, he and I were having that conversation earlier. I just think Shohei's more in the business of winning, and he's going to want to play on a contender. And the Angels aren't that.
So I do see the flip side. I mean, I feel like from a GM's perspective, I would want to keep Ohtani because he's going to put fans in the seats. I mean, even more so, when Trout, starts to decline at some point, you think Ohtani, is going to have a little bit, more of a longer, reign at the top now, whereas Trout is still, considered one of the top dogs, but like he's got to start going, he's going to start declining at some point.
I mean, he only plays 120 games a year, maybe.
True.
As Trout's so injured as it is. So
you would have to think if Trout's on his way down, do the Angels want to, give up everything they have? Other than paying, Rendon, still paying him fucking $100 million, be hurt all the time. I mean,
finesse, baby.
What else do they have? I mean, other than a big checkbook.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense to trade him if you wanted to win, kind of like the Cubs in some ways. If you wanted to win in 5 years, trade him. If you don't care about winning,
because you're going to make money either way,
right?
Yeah. So I just don't think I think they're really, really afraid of being the team that traded Shohei. Like the Red Sox, do you want? I'm not saying they're like the Red Sox at this point, but do you want like a Fenway or a Boston curse the Bambino, but now you have curse of Shohei or something? Like, do you want that kind of stigma to last?
He's definitely because he's a generational talent. I mean, it'll be another 50-something plus years before you have another,
Dude, you might never see another
two-way player. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, the Cubs just drafted Cade Horton. All right, he's the next Shohei. Okay?
There he is. Yeah, he is. What do you got to say about that, Dave?
He can hit, and he's the best pitcher in college baseball. He's definitely Shohei.
Shohei
Light.
Shohei White.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shohei Light, Shohei White.
All right, so, from one team that has a very low attendance with the Angels, I do want to ask this because this was news Saturday. We saw something personally, I've never seen. Tell me if you guys have seen this. The stadium in Baltimore was packed. It was sold out. Have you guys ever seen that?
Other than Cal Ripken setting a record in 1995.
The home run derby.
Or that dope-ass home run derby. Outside of special events, no. The answer is no.
All right, so that was big. That was kind of big news, and it even made national news, which is kind of sad and funny at the same time. But the question I have is that the Orioles are actually they're in fourth place in their division, but they're over 500. This is the latest in the year they have a winning record. I feel like in 2 or 3 decades. But the question is, it kind of came down to a baseball philosophy question. Is that
is the question, will Dave's dog shut the fuck up? The answer is no.
No way. All right. I mean, I'm glad it's not my mother-in-law's dog. So fair on that.
We'll take it.
All right.
Brutus is
all right. So the baseball philosophy question is: would you rather have attendance feed the team's success, financially, or would you rather have a team put up the finances and then the fans show up? Kind of those two ideas are like the Cubs, the Astros, now the Orioles, but kind of historically putting up finances and then attendance kind of follows. It's like the Red Sox, Yankees, in some ways that now it's currently the Dodgers, but also like the Cardinals. So what would you say is the best baseball philosophy if you're a GM? To prioritize attendance or to prioritize team success first? Ben, what do you think on that?
I mean, the logical, or at least what's logical in my brain, is be good on the field. Everyone will show up to watch your product, right? That's kind of the way I think of it. I think about it like that's what I initially I was leaning towards. But then I also like the idea of like the Barnum and Bailey, like the circus aspect. Get people drawn in. Doesn't matter what you put on the field, as long as they walk through that gate, you have their money. You've won. They buy a hot dog, you've won. They buy a soda, you've won. They buy a replica jersey for $700 or whatever that shit is. You win. You know what I mean? Every single time as an owner, you win the moment those people walk through the turnstile. So it depends on I guess, your grander philosophy. Are you built more on hard work, or are you built more, not that, being a showman isn't hard work, but are you built more on flash? Are you built more on sizzle, or are you built more on steak? That's what I'm getting at. And for me personally, I would rather build with steak. I'd rather have a great foundational team built on success that translate into people wanting to come watch them, as opposed to having like a 3-ring circus.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, I think you're coming at it from 2 different angles. If you're coming at it from like a sports fan, like sports management, like like a coach perspective, you obviously want the team to be better, the on field to be better. But if I'm coming at it from a GM, if I own a team, I'm going to go with what's going to make me the most money. So, I mean, I would the 3-ring circus, bringing people in, them buying stuff is going to fatten my pockets. And if that's my ultimate goal is to make the most money I can, then I would definitely go that route versus having, great if you have a great team. If not, I mean, whatever. But if your ultimate goal is to try to make more money, then, you would go that route, the flashy route, and then forget the on-the-field shit. Who cares? I mean...
So the Reinsdorf approach.
Not even. I would feel like it'd be more like it's more like, prior to the Cubs winning the World Series, I think it was more. This kind of falls. They kind of fell in this model. Like the Cubs sucked for years. They were they might have had Sosa or a player here or there, but in a large part, the on the field was trash. But the Cubs still sold out because of Wrigley Field, the atmosphere, Wrigleyville, and all that stuff. So I mean,
true.
That was able to, they were able to generate enough revenue and money from that to then put into the baseball side to then go out and get, these players and, eventually win a World Series at some point. So I think, you kind of need, I feel like you kind of need
a lot of cooks. Yeah, you need a lot of cooks in that kitchen, because I think you could try that same success, Dave, in Kansas City. Well, Kansas City just won a World Series recently, so let's exclude them. Think of another bum franchise that hasn't won in a while. Think of the Reds, right? Historic franchise, tons of past success. You could be that. You could try to be the Reds, where you just are okay. You're not spending money. You're not doing whatever like the Cubs were doing, banking on whatever, just dicking with Sosa for 20 years or whatever that was, and then just kind of riding it out for so long, banking on the fact that you could have a franchise like that. But Cincinnati isn't the draw that Chicago is. The Reds can't get the sellout on a Tuesday against the Rockies the way the Cubs can, because Chicago is not, or because Cincinnati is not Chicago. You know what I mean? Right. So that only works, I feel, if you have a franchise in an environment where it's built to succeed like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's kind of like a dual-edged sword, because then the Cubs can get away with having an owner who isn't spending money on the team, because he can get away with the fact that people are just going to flock to the baseball field.
It's also, it's part baseball fan, part destination, part tourist trap, tourists want to come in and go see a game at Wrigley Field and all that shit. So, the Cubs are kind of in a win-win scenario, whereas, yes, if they put a great product on the field, people are going to be there. They're going to sell out, whatever. Whereas if the team does suck, they're still going to sell out. They're still going to be on national TV. They're still going to have, Wrigley Field and, Wrigleyville and all that shit. So,
plus that WGN money for the longest time was helping grow the Cubs' success in so many ways with that, national broadcasting just contract to just air all over the country.
Right. So the Cubs are the perfect, example. Like, I feel like, Cubs ownership and management would have to go out of their way to, like, fuck up the Cubs. Like, they have
to actively try to sabotage the team.
Right.
Major League style. Like, start turning off the cold showers, start turning off the...
You could argue they're doing that a little bit. A little bit. I think it's a nuanced question. This was actually asked of me. I think it's a nuanced question because we actually are seeing that currently with the Mets. And they are in a market, and they have an owner who's like the richest owner, and the market is New York, so they can spend the money. But like the Reds or like the Pirates, of course they're still rich, but they're not Steve Cohen rich.
No.
And as you said, Ben, they're not going to draw someone on Tuesday afternoon. But in fairness, there aren't many afternoon games anymore. Most games are at night. So in some ways, that's not really even a thing anymore. That's like maybe a game or two a week, but that's not really going to be your main draw. That was Wrigley's draw, but so unless you have a sold out fan base, like again, in my opinion, the Cubs have a sold out fan base who will show up no matter what. And we've done that for years now. So, and they have the money, so why not spend money? Like, you have fans.
Yeah. Well, because that money also looks a lot better in my pocket than
it does looking in someone else's pocket, I'll tell you that much. You get that cynicism, that ownership side of it, right? It makes total sense, because if I was like, hey, give me money, you're going to be like, hey, fuck you, I want my money. Well, why would these super rich people be any different than me not wanting to give you money? You know what I mean? So, like, I get that. And to your point, why, if you're so rich, if you're going to make the investment of buying a sports team, I feel like it should be from a place of love. Like, you love sports. You want to watch this team succeed and grow. Where most of these guys are, and that's the problem, is most of these guys are buying sports teams because they're money factories. Because you can just put, I'll put in $2 billion, I'll buy the Cubs, oh, and I'll make $40 billion a year because that's what the Cubs are worth, or whatever ludicrous
Right.
money, monetary.
So my thing would be like, so you would have to find an ownership. Like I feel like you've got owners that are like that, where they're thinking this is an investment. I want a return on my investment. I'm investing, like you said, $2 billion. I want to make $40 billion off of it. But I feel like then you have those owners like Mark Cuban, who does give a shit about winning, and it's not necessary.
Sure, yeah.
He's got money invested in so many other things. Like this isn't his only source of income. So like
well, that's how a lot of these guys are. I mean, do you think the Cubs owner Ricketts? I mean, he was just trying to buy one of those goddamn, European soccer teams.
Yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea, and not like some bum one, like a real one. He was trying to buy that. I mean, that costs real money. That's not chump change. Like we were talking about the Warriors, I think, maybe last week, or I was thinking of the Warriors owner who's only like worth $1.5 billion, not wanting to go into luxury tax. And they were like clowning him because he's only worth $1.5 billion. But that shows the discrepancy is like Steve Cohen, let's just say he makes $15 billion. Like that is so much more money than $1.5 billion, which is so much more money than what we make. And it's crazy that if you're the Ricketts family and you have X amount of dollars, there's no reason why you can't be spending it. There's no reason why if you're Jerry Reinsdorf and you own 2 goddamn sports franchises in the same city that you can't put a better product on the field. You can't pay people what they deserve to. Chicago's weird about that. Chicago's weird. The Yankees, New York, Steinbrenner, it's been just a thing. Like, hey, fuck it, throw money at it. Let's build it. Let's just buy a team. The Dodgers are doing the same thing right now. Padres are doing the same thing right now.
And
we'll see if it works. But
I've actually reached out to some LA sports like outlets and fans out here since I've been here, and I know the common narrative is that the Dodgers have really spent a lot of money, and I would say Freeman, Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, all that. But if you really do look at their roster, most of that did come up through the Dodgers farm system. So, like Kershaw, Walker Buehler, one time it was Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger.
They signed Justin Turner when he was a bum.
So
basically, they turned him into being great.
Yeah, so in some ways, the Dodgers are the kind of mix I feel like you really want. The Dodgers will spend money on big names, but they also will have a solid farm system that will you'll have 1 or 2 players every year that will come up.
Yeah, they can.
Like,
Kenley Jansen.
Kenley Jansen.
Another perfect example. Yeah.
I mean, the point being is that where I live right now is right outside LA. When I say right outside, LA is pretty big, but I live in Rancho Cucamonga. I know I'm putting myself out there, but
doxing yourself.
Yeah, who cares? No one cares. All right, so in Rancho Cucamonga, they actually have the single A affiliate for the Dodgers, which is the hat I'm wearing. The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. And they have banners. I went to a game last week. They have banners of all the star players that went through the Quakes together. And it's pretty interesting. And that's actually going to be my last point. But the Dodgers are the good mix. I feel like what we're all really saying is that you want people who are willing to spend money, are going to draft well, they are going to make profit, they are going to care that they're competing. So,
yeah, my last little thing about this, and I promise I'll shut up, is to your point though, the Dodgers are the perfect franchise because they're willing to spend money on the things that help build that same minor league system that you're talking about. If they can build a stronger infrastructure where they know that their recruiters, or not recruiters, but their scouting talent is top notch, and they know that they have their farm system like entrenched in place, they have a great coaching staff, they know exactly the kind of culture, who the kind of players they want. If you can have that, I think that goes a long way to your point.
Yeah. All right, Ben, when I texted you about some ideas for the podcast, you said something about the football season. Do you want to say something about football starting up again?
Yeah, football is obviously coming back. This is the most excited I've been for a football season in a long time. Excluding the
Why?
Bears, I know the Bears are going to be ass, and so
Bear down.
I'm gonna bear down. I'm gonna be mad. 17 weeks this year, I know for a fact. Even on games they win, I'm gonna be mad because they're never gonna blow a team out. They're never just gonna come out in the first quarter. Fields throws 3 touchdowns and the Bears are up 21-3 at the end of the first quarter, and you're like, what the fuck happened? That's not gonna happen. But I'm excited about fantasy. I got a couple I got three big fantasy leagues this year. Really excited about that. And it's just this is the last weekend was the last weekend was the last weekend without either college or pro sports or college or pro football until February. So we were in it for the long haul. And this is a baseball heavy podcast, but I will be giving updates on the Bears as we go forward. And my fantasy team. So teams.
I don't know if you guys have heard my hot take, but I think football is the most boring sport out there.
Isn't that crazy, Dave? What a crazy man.
I put on Sundays to take a nap. That's it.
Dude, I can't wait to take that first Sunday nap. When you got a little chilly in you.
Yeah.
The noon games are over, and you're waiting for the second half of like that 4:00 game to kick off, and you're just fat and you're full, and you've had a couple beers. You know what I mean? And life is just good. You hear that Fox jingle come on, and you're like, "Fuck me up! It's time."
That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
You don't even need to give me chili. I'll just be asleep by the first drive of the game.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect ambient for you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mentioned this a second ago. So this past week, I did go see the single A affiliate for the Dodgers, the Quakes. And have you guys ever heard of the story Padre for Life?
The story Padre for Life?
There was a story that got really big a couple years ago. It was a news story that came out of the Quakes. It was something the quote was, "He's a Padre for life." Have you guys ever heard of that story?
No.
I would assume it's something about Tony Gwynn, but I have no idea.
No. So apparently, this is in 1996. There was a Quakes single A player. At the time, the Quakes were a Padres single A affiliate. Now they're a Dodgers single A. Actually, interesting fact is that the year before they became a Dodgers single A affiliate, they were the Angels affiliate.
Jeez.
And who was drafted in 2010? Mike Trout. Mike Trout was a Rancho Cucamonga Quake at one point. I had no idea. Either way, the point being is that in 1996, there was a pitcher for the Quakes who, in a bullpen session right before the game, he had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And after his heart attack, he had a brain injury because he lost oxygen to his brain. Does that story ring a bell a little bit? Someone who had heart troubles, getting a brain injury, anyway.
I wonder who.
So in 1996, he has a heart attack, he has a brain injury, and then every year since then, the Padres have signed him to a minor league baseball contract solely so that he can keep his health insurance.
Wow.
That's great. I actually, now that you mentioned it, that story does sound familiar, but that's one of the best things I've heard ever.
So the Padres organization solely signs this guy who, again, didn't play super long for the Padres minor leagues, but they sign him every single year to a 1-year deal so that he can keep his health insurance, which obviously for a heart attack, and he's wheelchair bound now and has a hard time walking, speaking, all that stuff. He has health insurance through the Padres, and I think that's one story that, in the midst of us talking about owners being greedy and wanting to make profit, that's one story that you can kind of point to and be like, that's cool.
For sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's a class act. Yeah.
I mean, because it cost them so little. What's a minor league contract real? Let's just ballpark it. They gave him $100,000 a year.
No.
Like, that's amazing for him. And it costs the owners literally next to nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that's fantastic. More, whatever. We're not going to get into it. More ownership should do something like that. That's an amazing story.
Yeah. So as I moved out here, I forgot this story. But when I went there, my wife reminded me because she's from the LA area. She reminded me of that story, and I was like, I'm immediately a Quakes fan. I know they're in my town, but I'm like, I'm going to support a team that supports a guy through the rest of his life. So I thought that was an interesting story just to relay. And I'm wearing the Quakes hat. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I'm wearing the Quakes hat. But I'm not allowed to buy any more hats because I have run out of space. So.
You got put on a list. You got put on the don't buy hat list.
Dude, I have a list just ready in case I want to throw out one of these hats. Just ready. So.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing story though. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Very cool.
That's more teams need to do that.
If you guys are at all interested, just look up Matt Lachaba Padres. Even if you spell it wrong, they'll get it right. Padre for life. It's a great story. So, this is usually the end of the episode where we have our soapbox time. And Dave, I know this is your first time, so I'm going to let Ben go first. And Ben has a grievance he wants to share, so I'm going to let him vent.
I sure do. So, I spent this past weekend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, this is the second time. Dave, if you don't know, Milwaukee, which I know you don't, is a city in Wisconsin that there are some sports teams there. You know, they do some fun stuff. I'll let you Google it. You can find out all about it. But, so we were there for this weekend. We had a fabulous time with my wife's friends. And, you know, Friday we went out to a Mexican restaurant. We had some, it was like one of those fusion upscale Mexican restaurants where they put weird shit in tacos, but it was still tacos. All right. It was fine. It was good. We hung out Friday. It was great. We went out to a couple of different breweries Saturday. We had a really nice time. I load the car up. I'm packing. I'm getting ready to leave Sunday morning, and I find out they busted out my god darn windows in my car. So they smashed out the front. I don't know, dude, but I have a picture. I'm not even kidding. I can send it to you. So this young lady who was in an apartment building across like the sidewalk from where it happened, from where my car got broken into, heard the noise. So she gets her phone out, takes a picture. You can see this guy's legs sticking out of the back window of my car while he's dangling, trying to get in. And then apparently it was a group of 4 guys, so 2 spotters, one person who actually smashed into the car, and one person who went in to like dig for shit. And apparently there's a thing in Milwaukee about guns where they can let people drive around with your gun, carry your gun, but you can't bring your gun into a bar. And since we were parked and our Airbnb was like near the bars, people break into cars thinking people left their guns in the car. So not only does it speak to the crime issue in the country, but it speaks to the gun issue in the country. And somebody owes me a new goddamn window. Okay? So
were you guys the only car that got broken into?
No, there was another car behind me. And then some people came out of the house and like shouted at him to stop. So thankfully it was only 2 of us, and you know, we were number 1. You know, Miami Vice, number 1 new show.
So now you hate Milwaukee?
Yeah, no, fuck Milwaukee forever. I'll never go back. Actually, I would. It was a marvelous time. Yeah, Dave won't. Milwaukee Dave won't. We had, you know, cheese curds are obviously incredible. So, you know, my fat ass will be eating those, but I will not be happy about it. Fuck you, Milwaukee.
All right, so Dave, last episode, Ben and Dallas let me know that they call you Milwaukee Dave. Do you have any side of the story that
Yeah. So we were supposed to go to Milwaukee on like a trip or something for the weekend, and I ended up not going because I can't remember if I had a doctor's appointment or one of my kids had a doctor's appointment. I ended up not being able to go last minute, so I have yet to.
It's always the kids, isn't it? Huh?
So I have yet to go to Milwaukee, and it sounds like Purbin's.
As long as someone else fucking drives, I don't mind going. But goddamn, dude, I don't want my window busted out.
Not missing much in Milwaukee,
dude. So when the police officer came to take our statement, I'll make this real quick because I know we're running long.
You're fine.
When he shows up to take our ticket, he goes, "Yeah, this is the 7th one of these I've had this morning." And it was maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. So this is obviously a problem in Milwaukee that this is like a thing. That he goes every morning till about 1 o'clock. I fill out nothing but incident reports on smashed out windows or stolen cars. So don't drive to Milwaukee. Take a bus, Uber, walk, and you'll have a great time. Don't leave your car there.
All right, fair. Dave, when this got brought up last week, they could not recount the reason that you did not go to Milwaukee. So I think we're just going to blame the crime.
Yes, it's the crime.
Milwaukee's it's the crime.
Yeah. That's it. All right, so Dave, usually, as you can tell, Ben just had a soapbox time where he got to talk about whatever he wanted. And now he hates Milwaukee. Is there anything in this past week that you want to have some soapbox time to talk about?
Can't really think of anything other than, like I said, I kind of went on a rant earlier about the Sox being a disappointment. Other than them, not much. I don't know. I'll have to, think about it for next time.
Yeah, your next time you can.
Yeah, I have to come better prepared with a soapbox.
Oh, I mean, you should.
No, I know what Dave's soapbox is. It's R.I.P. Olivia Newton-John.
Oh yes, yeah. So if you didn't know, Olivia Newton-John, who played Sandy in Grease, died today. Which Grease is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. So that sucks. I love that movie. I don't know,
dude. She's an absolute dime in that movie too.
I like musicals.
She's 30. I love musicals. She's 30 in that movie.
In high school. Yeah. That's fine. She's a hot 30-year-old.
I mean, that's kind of the thing that's going on now. They have all these, 26-year-olds playing high schoolers. So,
dude, that shit's always been a thing. It's like if you have a young enough face, they're like, "Hey, we can get away with you playing high school. Can you grow a 5 o'clock shadow? No, cool, high school kid."
Yeah. I mean, even Stranger Things has kids that are like 29. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But, so R.I.P.
R.I.P. Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of musicals as well, but I won't go on and spend my time on that this week. My soapbox time I want to share. My daughter's first day of school was today. In Southern California, it's in where we live, it's over 100 degrees. I'm just like, what? When we were back in our day, we didn't start school this early, let alone it being this hot.
Definitely not.
My stupid soapbox point is, can we just make either school year round, or can we make the school year shorter? That's it. That's my parent moment. I'm just like, let them go year round, or just stop making them go this early. It feels like it's getting earlier and earlier. And now I'm starting to sound like my dad complaining, so I'm just gonna stop there.
Now you have to go. Yeah, now you have to go out in the front lawn with your headphones on and cut the grass for 12 hours.
I mean, there's no grass here to cut.
I was gonna say then you'll be your dad for sure.
Oh no, I'm not going outside in the heat cutting any grass.
Wow.
So Dave, next time, just
I'll have something. I'll have something queued up.
All right, so that's actually going to wrap up episode 35 of the On a Family Based podcast. My name is Jake.
I am Ben.
I'm David, special guest.
Special guest Dave came in, and Dallas just dropped off. So I don't know where he's at, but
hopefully he's alive. If somebody sees him before we do next week, let us know.
Yeah, if you guys are listening and you're like, "Where's Dallas?" We have no idea. So, either way,
but that's professionalism, baby. We just picked it up and kept running with it. Didn't even miss a beat.
Didn't even address it. Dallas who? All right.
Who?
All right. So again, that's episode 35. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for watching, listening, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Eden. Thanks for watching this episode of my dad's podcast. Check out the links in the description to follow the podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and the other social media. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell to let you know when there's a new episode. Thanks for watching or listening. Bye.